In today's day and age, Agile is pretty old from a terminology perspective. You might say, "Oh, nothing new." Oh yeah, Agile's been around for forever. Oh yeah, everybody does Agile. Agile's the normal way to do things, and Agile was very much a reaction against what was normal software process going into the late 1990s and kind of what happened through the web boom of 1990 to 2001. Um, and it was a reaction against really long development cycles and batching up, you know, weeks and months of talking about software, and then weeks and months of designing wireframes and documents, and then weeks and months of coding, and then weeks and months of testing. And it was normal to talk about that we were going to have a software release out sometime next year. And, that was rightly called out as insanity, and that we have to have working software very, very frequently. And so now, having working software more frequently is pretty normal, and having weekly and monthly releases is very normal. Of course, high performing organizations are putting out changes to software every day and many times a day. So that's normal. So from that perspective, the agile movement over the last 23 years has been a success because it completely changed the industry habit on frequency of delivering changes into production environments. Um, but what it only incrementally improved was the success rate of software projects. And over half of software projects are still largely failures. And you have to define failure as looking at it from an investor standpoint. At the beginning of a software project or software initiative, even if the software has been around for a long time, at some point, the board of directors or some executive leader is going to say, you know what, let's invest a certain significant amount in the software package that we have, the custom software that we have, in order to achieve some strategic goal. And so that amount of money is invested. Well, if the strategic goal doesn't happen, then then there is regret that the money was invested because that investment did not yield the return on investment that was expected. That is a business failure, regardless of the plans and on time, on budget. Most of the time, all of these are way behind budget. Sorry, way behind schedule, over budget. And at some point, when the software executive who kind of made the call said, man, if I'd have known this was going to happen, I would not have done it. Well, that's a failure. So I wanted to review Agile because in today's world, there's hand waving about Agile as if it's old and as if everybody knows it and as if everybody does it, but that's just not the case. And so I want to highlight a few pieces. And this is straight from agilemanifesto.org. This is literally just a screenshot from agilemanifesto.org. And there's four values, and this is interesting. But the second one, working software over comprehensive documentation. Well, the important part is that there's working software. There's working software frequently. Um, Customer collaboration, responding to change. Um, those things are kind of accepted in spirit, but some of the principles behind the Agile Manifesto have kind of been forgotten. And so there's 12 principles. These are the first six. There's 12 principles behind the Agile Manifesto. And the first one literally is early and continuous delivery of valuable software. And so the software has to be valuable, not just a change, but it actually has to be valuable and delivering continuously. Okay. Um, if we go down to the third one, delivering working software frequently from a couple weeks to a couple of months. Well, now that was 2001. Now really it's deliver software continuously, frequently, daily or weekly. That's kind of the frequency. And then the next one has largely been forgotten. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So if you are running a software organization, um, the collective industry wisdom and the Scrum methodology has kind of created this. this role called product owner or product manager. And and then there's software product managers and software product owners. And there's been this role, this intermediary role that's popped up that's at odds with this agile principle. Because this agile principle is business people and developers working together daily throughout the project. Well, the business people are operating their business units, and maybe, monthly there's some people that come and work together with the developers. But in most organizations, and we consult with a lot of organizations, um, this, by the way, all taken aside, small companies small companies do this really well because everybody knows everybody's name, and there's not a whole lot of layers. But then as you get to mid-size and larger organizations, there always ends up being a person who's a go-between, who is not a developer, who doesn't really know how to read the code or even look at the code to see what the software is doing or make decisions about how the code should be structured, or even the data in the database. And they're also not in the business unit helping that business unit operate. They're a go-between. And that that also was present in the 90s, and that didn't yield very good results. And the Standish Group has some findings about this go-between, and there's multiple titles for them. Sometimes a go-between is called a project manager, in certain cases. And it's not that any of these roles are not good. It's if you have a role called something that is not developer and is not directly in that business unit operating, doing what that business unit does, and that you've set up that role to be the go-between, then you're not getting the benefit from this principle, which is business people and developers working together daily throughout the project. And because of that, you're going to have the game of telephone, and um, you're going to have this concept of requirements popping up, which is a holdover from the 90s. This concept of requirements where we translate our strategy into a set of software features where we say, um, or the go-between would say, okay, so based on what you need, then we're going to have some set of software features, and I want you to agree that these are the software features we're going to build for you. And the business unit says, okay, yeah, sounds good to me. And then the go-between role goes to the developers and says, all right, here's the set of features we need to build. And we're basically codifying some guesses into the definition of success for the developers. But um, they are guesses. They're absolutely guesses. And through some survey studies done, I think it was put out in 2018 by Puppet Labs, State of DevOps report, um, only about a third of those guesses end up being right on average. Another third of those guesses end up not really making a difference for the business, and about a third of those guesses just go in the wrong direction and they need to be backed out quickly. So I want to highlight this principle: business people and developers working together daily throughout the project, as one of the forgotten agile principles that needs to be brought forward, because this makes sure that there's not a game of telephone. And I mean real business people who are responsible for like literally working in that business unit daily.